And so if you're wondering why I'm facilitating this meeting, it's because members of the steering committee are rotating the leadership or the facilitating of each meeting. So I'll be running us through the agenda today and making sure everyone gets a chance to speak and participate and is called on to give input during the meeting. So with that, we can start. Chris, can you start the PowerPoint with the agenda items on it?
Give me 10 seconds. I'm almost ready. And do this. Sorry, y'all. Just doing some last minute. All right, here we go.
Great. So we start each meeting with a land acknowledgement. I'll read that now if Chris can pull it up. Great. We respectfully acknowledge that we host this meeting on the lands of the Mwekmaloni people who have stewarded this land through generations. We commit ourselves to partner with our Indigenous sisters and brothers to celebrate and honor their legacy and our collective work for justice and in our care for these lands we benefit from today. Very fitting, given that this week was Indigenous Peoples Day. The next item on the agenda is we're going to hear a testimony from Sharon Watkins. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Sharon.
Okay, can everyone hear me? I'm on my phone. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. So I had asked Lori how much time, and she said there's not like a limited time. So I've been thinking about what I needed to say. And I think the first thing I'll tell the event that happened was on in February 2015. My son had he was 23 years old. He had a mental episode. I had not known that there was something going on with him. His fiance called and said that he was thinking about committing suicide. She called me at work. And of course, that alone kind of messed me up mentally. And I was trying to hurry up from work to get to him because it blew my mind. Now, by the time I got to him, he had already been killed. I work at San Jose State University, and they were living right there on Sherman Street. And I remember thinking when I was on my way walking there, trying to walk to my parking spot, and that day I had parked on the 5th floor, the very top floor of one of our parking lots. Any other day, because I was working like during the evening, I was 1 to like 11, and she gave me a call around 5 or something like that, and I was like, the only thing I could think was, please don't let him be dead. God, please, please, please don't let him be dead. And I remember Devaney saying, they shot him up. And I wish I had the words to describe to you what that felt like. And I was just, please, God, don't let him be dead. Don't let him be dead. Don't let him be dead. So, when I was saying all that, and I got to my car, out of breath, I got to my car and I decided you gotta drive carefully, because if you have an accident, that's gonna make things worse and blah, blah, blah. Just kind of talking myself into drive carefully, don't try to drive too fast. So by the time I got there, they had the police lines, how they say police, those yellow tape or whatever color it is. And when I finally found some place to park, it was not very far from Devaney's house. Devaney is the fiance. I don't know if I mentioned her name before, but they had those police lines up, and and I'm just trying to run just to get to him. And the cop told me, if you cross that line, you're going to be arrested, and I would start yelling, my baby, that's my baby there. That's my baby. And he was saying, well, whoever you're looking for is not there anymore. They've been taken to the hospital. I saw Phil's friend also trying to come and get in. And so his friend's name is Tommy. So, and another person that was renting from Faye, by the way, Faye is Devaney's mom. So he, took us to the hospital, and of course I'm just distressed and say, okay, was somebody brought him by the police, Philip Watkins? And so they put us all in a room. Then the doctor came in and said his I think his heart had stopped beating for like 20 minutes, probably before they even brought him in. So, which tells me that he was just laying there in the streets dying. They shot him 10 times. The doctor said, like, from the looks of it, that the first shot he got was like in his face, and like, I don't know. Can you guys see me? Do I have my video on?
Yes, you
Yes.
do.
See you.
Okay,
we
so like it was like, I guess they took. I had pictures taken, but I have not looked at them. And the doctor, so he said that he, it was about 20 minutes before they brought him in, and he said, we're trying to get his heart beating again. But he said, it doesn't look good because his brain was without oxygen for about 20 minutes. But anyway, so I'm still praying, I'm like, okay, God, I know, you do miracles, raise people from the dead, you split open seas. So this should be easy for you, and I just kept saying, please, Lord, please, Lord, please, Lord, And when the second doctor came in and said, I'm sorry, that's all she had to say. I don't even know what else she said. I just heard that I'm sorry. And I just kind of went crazy. I was crying and screaming and beating the walls. And I remember being on the floor, hitting the floor. I don't remember falling or if I just got on the floor. I just remember being on the floor and just crying and screaming. And by the time I opened my eyes, or by the time that I took a break in my crying, I looked up and everybody was gone, except for the police officer there. And, he was saying, I can help you up and get in a chair. And so I was sitting there just crying and crying and crying and talking about Phil, how he was into, he loved football. He was trying to train for football because he was going to try and go and get in the Canadian League or, something like that, or the indoor football. And then the guy said, you can, I don't remember exactly what the officer said, but the part that I remember is that he wanted me to go down to the police station. And I said, no, I'm not going to leave him. I wasn't there when he needed me. I'm not going anywhere. And I was like, I just want to see him. I want to see him. I want to hug him one more time. And then they kept saying, it's a crime scene. And then the doctor was telling me, you don't really want to remember him like this. I'm trying to describe the emotion I was having, but I don't really have any words to describe it. And then I just was not going to leave, but I could swear, I know some people may think I'm a little crazy, but I could swear I heard Phil say, it's okay, Mom, you can go. I'm okay. So I left. You can treat that as you want to have, however you want to take it. But I know his voice and I heard him. So I went with them. And then the guy was also saying, well, if you go down there with me, then maybe they'll let you see him. So that in combination with the voice, I was like, okay, I'm going to get to hug him. I can't describe to you how much it meant to me to hug him again. And I never got to do that. And I think about that all the time. Sometimes I remember dreaming about hugging him. Um, it was 2015, now it's 2021. I also remember thinking, well, how it was hurting so bad, it would physically hurt. And if you've ever lost anyone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It wasn't just like sadness. It was just your gut is just in so much pain. And I reluctantly went to see a therapist because I just didn't feel like I needed a therapist. But I was getting sick. I was very weak. I I just felt like, my body was sick. I couldn't sleep. I was, I just, I was depressed. And I went to see my doctor and my regular general practice doctor. And, I was telling all these symptoms I was having. I can't sleep. I don't have an appetite. I'm aching all over and all these things that were happening to me. And I told her what happened to my son, and she recommended I go see a psychologist. So I did, and I told the psychologist that I was having all these symptoms, but the doctor said there was nothing wrong with me. And the doctor said, well, you're depressed. And I was like, nah, I'm really, really sad, but I'm not depressed. And she explained to me about what had happened, the trauma that it had caused me. And she said, sometimes when something happens, that it can mess up your brain chemistry. If it's something traumatic enough, it alters your brain chemistry. So I remember once my mom told me that when I was a kid, that, sometimes something happens that messes you up so much that it messes your brains up. And so I had to take sertraline, which is a generic for Zoloft. And I was so worried about taking it and getting hooked on it. And she said, no, this, usually if people get hooked, they get hooked on sleeping pills because I guess sertraline is a non-narcotic. But so I started seeing her once a week. And even now, and that was back in, I don't know, maybe 2016, because we were counting how long I had been in therapy. So I was in it about 6 years. So I just stopped just before the COVID stuff, I believe. And I remember people asking, or she was asking, what what were you thinking that night? And it was like, all I remember is Devaney saying they shot him up. They shot him up. I don't really remember much. I remember being very cautious. And for a number of years, I couldn't park in that parking lot where I was parked when Phil got shot. And I mean, even now, years later, I mean, I remember thinking, okay, when I hit like year 5, I'm still going to be in grief, but I'm not going to be messed up. And this is 2021. I'm still messed up, especially this time of year. My birthday is today. And this is a hard day for me because Phil would say, hey, Mom, you thought I was going to forget. Happy birthday, Mom. And I can still hear him saying that, happy birthday. Love you, Mom. And then we got Thanksgiving coming. And I remember, what his favorite dish was and that type of thing. And then we had Christmas coming, and my light in my office goes off. I have to clap to put it back on. Anyway, then there's Christmas, and Phil was very modest when it came to Christmas. I didn't have to, he just usually wanted one thing, or, it was always, he was an easy person he was easy to please. He was just very humble. And then his birthday's in January. And January 25th. I remember I was filling a prescription for him when he was a teenager, I think. And then I got his birthday mixed up with his brother's birthday. His brother's birthday is December 27th. So I was saying January 27th. And then they were like, that's not his birthday. You know, at the pharmacist, they was like, yeah, that doesn't confirm with what we have. And then I remember, oh, no, it's just the 25th for him. And he was like, Mom, how could you possibly forget my birthday? Yeah, you know, but anyway, he was a pleasant kid. So we got October, November, December, January was his birthday, and February he was killed. So that's 5 months out of the year that I have to work to get out of the bed. I wish I could tell you that it that is gone away or it's gotten better or something. It's gotten to the point where I did what my psychologist suggested, because I told her how much it hurts to tell a story. And she said, well, this is what you do. You prepare a 1-minute story, you prepare a 3-minute story, and prepare a 5-minute story and practice them. So that way you get the points out and you know what you're going to say. And yeah, it's still going to hurt, but you feel more in control. So I did that. And yeah, I can share my story. Yeah, it still hurts. And I tell you what really stands out is the fact that when I went to the police station, I was interrogated, like I had done something. And the same happened to Faye and Devaney. They were rude in the police station. You would swear we were criminals because of the way we were treated. And you're also many times ostracized by the people that you knew or thought were friends, because of the assumption that, well, if the police shot him, then what, he must have done something. He must have been guilty of something. That's the general consensus of some people in public. And then the DA called, I forgot when, maybe what first happened is Kaiser called my insurance, because Phil was under my insurance. And they said, well, who else is responsible? Because somebody else has to be responsible. And I said, well, the police shot him. I don't know, because the insurance didn't want to pay for it. And then the guy on the other line started describing to me, I know where he was shot, because the guy described it to me. Oh, they shot him in the face. They did this, they did, and I'm at work. And then it just triggered. And one of my colleagues had to take me home because I didn't want to know all of that. Don't make me relive that. So that was that. And then the DA called, and I don't remember the day or month. I just don't remember. There's a lot that happens. And then I have patches where I remember stuff. And then I have, sometimes it's just blank. I don't remember anything. And I was on my way to work in the car driving. And he said, we decided not to charge, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm driving to work. I can't talk about this right now, And so he said, well, if you don't talk about it now, then I don't know when I'm gonna be able to call you anymore. It hurt. I don't know why, but I guess I didn't expect to be treated like that, because I hadn't done anything wrong and Phil hadn't done anything wrong. So that hurt a lot. That hurt. It made me feel shame, because of the way I was treated, the way Phil was painted to be this criminal. It's just the only people that really get it is the people that it's happened to. It's not something that's gonna go away. It just never goes away. I mean, sometimes I'll be in the car or walking around in the mall or whatever, and then it just hits you. Have you ever been walking and you're walking and not paying a lot of attention, and you walk into a door, like a very clean glass door, you walk in and boom, you hit the door. That's how it hits you. And then the tears start coming. And sometimes you can't control them. I've many times been at work and had to go in the bathroom and cry. I used to be able to take his birthday, I take a vacation day. And the day that he was shot, I used to be able to take a vacation day. It all depends on who your manager is, you know. It's never going to go away, ever. We're going to always have this permanent hole in our family. And Lanaya, his daughter, she hasn't had a daddy since she was 2.5 years old. And she is going to be 10 this summer in June. I am trying to think about a word or a sentence that can sum up what this did to me, what it did to my entire family. My oldest daughter still cannot talk about it. It's a trauma that sneaks up on you. When you're traumatized, you can be doing something that has absolutely nothing to do with it. I mean, you can be in a crowd of people having fun, and then all of a sudden, boom, it hits you, you know? For that, I took like about a month of work. When I came back, every football player I looked at, every Black football player looked exactly like Phil to me. And, you know, I was like, no, Sharon, that's not him. That's not him, you know? And I was like, oh, but they wouldn't let me see him, you know? How do I know he really died? You know, you have all that. And I spent almost a year waiting for him to walk in the door. I can't think of, you know, that I wish I could describe it to you, but I can't. And it doesn't help that you're treated like a criminal. It just, you know, it's not something that I'm really used to. And I know that Phil was not a criminal. And it's like, you treat everybody like this, you know. It was horrible. It was a very, very horrible thing. And I was not given any sympathy. I wasn't given any comfort. That was my weakest point. I have never hurt like that. The only thing that came close is when my mom died. But I had never hurt like that. And instead of treating me like a grieving mother, you know, they treated me like I had just shot somebody. I mean, even now, even today, it was a long time before I realized that the pain would never go away. My therapist also suggested that I record things, you know, how I was feeling. And I did, and Debug has published a book that I wrote, and it helped. There's a lot of things that help, you know. Meditation helps, prayer helps, you know, the antidepressant helps. That's designed to get my brain chemistry right. I had to up my dose because of the holidays. But nothing, that grief is not going to go away. Never. It's just, it is there forever. And sometimes I get angry, but I think my anger is directed more at how I was treated, how I would still be treated. And then people around you is assuming that he's guilty of something or the police wouldn't have shot him. And that causes, you know, I know it's not logical, but it causes sometimes a shame and embarrassment. And I feel like I have to defend him. And I shouldn't feel like that, you know, because he didn't do anything. Anyway, I just, my major thing is to say that when something happens like that, and your loved one is criminalized, everybody's assuming that he did something anyway. But then when the police seem to reinforce that because everybody keeps saying, well, they were within the realms of the law, and all I can say to that, well, the law is wrong. You know, you need to change it, because there's no way that you can kill an innocent person and nothing happens to you. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know, Um,
Sharon, thank you for sharing. This story
yeah,
is powerful and it's important. And thank you for being here on your birthday to hold this space for your story and for your son's story. We're part of our agenda today is a discussion on the experience of individuals experiencing mental health challenges with law enforcement. And this, your story is powerful and important because it helps us to ground set for the type of conversation we should be having and the type of, and who we should be uplifting into this space as we think about what we should be doing around this matter and how to make this process better and more just for families across the city so that these things don't happen to other families. And thank you so much for sharing this story with us today.
you're welcome.
If it's okay, we'll move forward to actually, well, it's not even moving forward. We're going to continue this conversation, and Tarab's going to lead us in a discussion presentation on this subject.
Okay.
Sharon, that was a very powerful story, and thank you for sharing. I don't think any of us, or most of us here, can imagine the pain you felt and you continue to feel. So thank you. And I hope I can kind of help further this conversation by kind of talking a little bit about how we got to where we are today and how we can, move forward to make a more just public safety system. So without further ado, so hello everyone, my name is Tarab Ansari. I'm a final year social work student at San Jose State University in their undergraduate program. And I'm here today to speak to you about the intersection of policing and mental health in our country and how moving forward we can help develop a more community-based public safety system that responds to persons in crisis. So we don't have this phenomenon where we have armed police responding to someone having a medical crisis. And so today we will go over a historical perspective, look at where we are now, look at some data that's been published regarding the nation and our county specifically. And then we will look at where we can go from here. We'll look at some models for programs and a more larger network as well to see what can be done. So first, historical perspective, or how I would prefer to say is how do we get here? So in the 1950s, the institutionalization of persons with severe mental illness peaked in the 1950s. There were more than 500,000 persons in state psychiatric hospitals across the country. But then due to abuse, neglect, and then three major factors being decisions of legal cases, passage of federal legislation, and the belief in the efficacy of new medications, there was a move starting in this 1950s towards deinstitutionalization and towards a community mental health model. There were challenges with this. Even though legislations and acts funded the creation of mental health resources and community mental health centers, this did not translate equally in all neighborhoods. And the belief in the efficacy of medications turned out to not completely be true. And so for the persons for whom medications were not enough, and for those who had challenges accessing care in their communities, they had difficulty integrating into the community. And tied to this was a lack of opportunity. In many state wards, there were work programs or educational programs that gave people a sense of purpose and belonging. When this wasn't there in the community, people maybe started getting disruptive. They were removed from their homes. They had challenges interacting with other people and their family. And so what you saw over the decades was police becoming the de facto response to somebody having a mental health crisis or somebody being disruptive in the community. And so naturally, there has been an overwhelming increase in the interaction between armed police officers and persons with severe mental illness. A lot of the times they don't even know that they have a mental illness or they're not being treated. Because over the past decades, police had few formal resources of what they could do. Many times they resorted to arresting the person to try and get them some help through the criminal justice system. And so what we see now is an overwhelming representation of persons with mental illness in the criminal justice system and the prison system. And because there was a reduction in the number of state psychiatric beds, what we see now is that there's an increase in the use of emergency rooms for mental health crises. And emergency rooms are not the most optimal place for somebody to receive care for this. And it also puts a burden on our emergency system. So let's look at a little bit of data, and I don't want to throw a lot at everybody, but a 2015 report by the Treatment Advocacy Center found that even though persons with severe mental illness make up about 1 in 50 people in the United States, they're overrepresented when it comes to police statistics. And I just want to give a reminder that police statistics and data on police interactions with persons with mental illness is spotty. And that's because of the way data is collected and stored. And so the most important thing that this report highlighted was that persons with severe mental illness are overlooked and undercounted when it comes to gathering data on police interactions. And so they stress the need for better data collection and so that we can get a clearer picture. But you can see that when you look at the statistics, that even though they only make up 1 in 50 people in the US, they make up at least 1 in 4 fatal shootings. This is a conservative estimate. They make up 1 in 3 persons in jails, 1 in 5 people in jails, and they make up at least 1 in 3 individuals transported to emergency rooms are done by police. Now, looking closer to home, there was a 2018 report by a civil grand jury in Santa Clara County that looked at officer-involved shootings between 2013 and 2017. And so in this report, the San Jose Police Department reported that about 15% of their calls are related to behavioral health. And so this kind of seems in line with what we saw before with the nationwide. But what we see here is that about more than 50% or about 50% of officer-involved shootings involve serious mental illness as a factor. And this is just in San Jose. And then of the 31 officer-involved fatalities in the county between 2013 and 2017, 13 involved some form of mental illness. And in 6 of those cases, there were no bystanders in immediate danger when deadly force was used. And what this report underscored as well was that there is no set protocol at that time for determining whether mental health issues is involved in the 911 situation. So dispatch doesn't have a way of putting it in. They can put it in as a note, but this underscores the fact that police can show up with minimal information. And then it's also hard after the fact to track what happened. And so these are 2 gaps in our system. This is a table that was presented in the report, and you can see this is where I got the data from. What I want you to look at is the number of additional crisis intervention training hours that police receive. So they receive about 40 hours of training, and I think this is the same for dispatchers. And what this report found was that 40 hours are not enough for everybody in that training session to go through simulated kind of activities together. So they said that 40 hours is not enough. And at this time, only about less than 50% in 2018 of the dispatchers had actually completed CIT training. So this stresses the fact that right from the beginning, we don't have people who are trained to deal with mental health crises. So where do we go from here? And throughout the rest of the presentation, I want you to keep these 2 questions in mind because we'll come back to them when we have our discussion. Basically, I want you to think about how do you want the public safety system to respond to a crisis in your neighborhood and in your community? And who do you think should be responding? So this is a pretty neat diagram produced by the Vera Institute for Justice, and it lets us visualize police involvement and crisis response. So on the left, you have police-based responses, and this would be a typical 911 patrol response. And then we have police-based co-responses. This would be the already existing mobile crisis response team that we have in Santa Clara County, along with PERT in Palo Alto. A hybrid of these two would be the new mobile crisis assessment team, which is being piloted by San Jose PD, and we will get to talk about that not today, but hopefully some other time in this committee. And then on the right, which says the least involvement with police, we have community-based responses. Community-based responses can be things like 911 diversion programs, mobile crisis teams without any armed police, and even peer navigation. So we will look at all three today. First are 911 diversion programs. 911 diversion programs divert calls to dispatch that are related to mental health, and they divert them to a separate group in the dispatch area. And so Houston did this with the crisis call diversion program. It's a collaboration between multiple agencies, and essentially any 911 calls that are related to mental health or are flagged as being related to mental health or substance use are transferred to the Harris Center. And here telecounselors who are located in the 911 call center will conduct assessments, and if needed can refer people to the Harris Community Center. And in that case, some form of a mobile crisis team can be sent out. So this, in a sense, is that last part kind of functions like trust that we will be getting later, but this stresses the point that right from the get-go, you're able to divert calls away from police and fire to the right people. And who are the right people? So one example is mobile crisis. Mobile crisis response teams, most in this country are modeled off the CAHOOTS program in Eugene, Oregon at the Whitebird Clinic. And they have been doing this for years now, where they don't send any law enforcement or armed personnel. It's a group that consists of a behavioral health specialist, an EMT, and in most cases, a peer with lived experience. And their goal is de-escalation, assessment, and then transport to either a crisis center, community-based organization, or some form of linkage. And a crucial function that mobile crisis response teams serve is that they can conduct follow-ups within 24 to 48 hours. So Trust, which will be a mobile crisis team that will be implemented in Santa Clara County starting in 2022, will conduct follow-ups. And kind of research that's been done on administrative data across the country found that when there was a follow-up conducted, there was a much higher chance of that person going and seeking community-based mental health care in the next 30 days after that follow-up. So it stresses the importance of not just the response during crisis, but a post-crisis follow-up, which is it's great that we have that. And lastly, what I think is probably one of the best models is peer-led response. So the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which is a federal administration that which has put forth the best practice toolkit when it comes to responding to behavioral health crises, they stress the importance of including persons with peers with lived experience. And an example is a sort of hybrid program called Familiar Faces that was piloted in Olympia, Washington. So it's hybrid because it is part of the police department. So it's not on that community based as we saw on the far right, but it's a mix of a sort of corresponder model. And so the peer navigators initially go out with the police to meet what they are called like a group of frequent flyers. So there's a list of people who experience mental health crises or chronic homelessness. And these are what are deemed frequent flyers. And so these peers go on ride-alongs with the police to meet these individuals. But after the initial introductions, the peers go and meet them on their own. And what they saw was that after they started meeting people on their own, members of the community who needed help were much more likely to reach out to them because they were able to build that trust and that non-judgmental relationship. And this program had great success. So this program had over 2,000 contacts with using just two peers. And it underscored that the police department said that it really helped strengthening the ties between the public safety system and the communities that are most vulnerable. And so this is yet another example of how community-based responses can be used to supplement or to not supplement, but to replace certain services that police do. And I apologize, I missed, there seems to be a page that was missed here. Yes, this. This is the objective. The objective is to reduce police presence altogether in crisis response, unless police involvement is needed. So, we recognize that this is a nuanced situation, that there is an element of safety and risk involved, but that's not for every case. And nowhere else in America, for no other medical condition, do you see police showing up. I mean, you don't have a heart attack and police show up, and if you refuse a defibrillator, they don't shoot you. So why is it that this happens for mental health? And so we need to recognize that this is not black and white, and not every person with a mental illness is dangerous. And so we got to reevaluate in which situations do we send armed police, and in which situations do we send other people. And the Law Enforcement Action Partnership, along with the Center for American Progress, have put forward a community responder model. So now this model applies for the entire public safety system and policing, not just behavioral health. But for this presentation, I am focusing only on behavioral health for the purposes of time. But they basically said that these programs that I showed you before, such as Peer Response, such as 911 Call Diversion, Mobile Crisis, they can all be considered components of a larger network of community responders who have come together in a partnership along with public safety agencies to divert all unnecessary calls away from armed police. So in the case of behavioral health crises, community responders would be EMTs, they could be clinicians, intervention specialists, peer support specialists, but it goes beyond that. They say that community responders could respond to welfare checks for calls for family disputes, where better than armed police, trained mediators or messengers who are trusted within the community could be used. And so the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform used this report to put forward a model for a tiered dispatch, where the lowest priority calls for the least potential for violence could be, so you could send community responders or components such as the mobile crisis team or peer team to these calls. And then on the other side, you would have officers only, and this would allow the police to focus on what they do best, which is responding to violent crimes. And in the middle, what we could then do is take these different programs that we have, such as the police MCAT, such as Trust, such as PERT, and figure out which situations can police and PERT or police and mobile crisis be sent to, where police could maybe secure the safety of the scene and then let these behavioral health specialists and peer outreach specialists deal with the mediation, assessment, and de-escalation. So they basically are telling us that the point here isn't to tell you to do this, but is to get us thinking about what do we want to see in our communities. This is an example, but what do we want in our communities? So they kind of show a workflow for this, and please disregard the percentages on top because the percentages relate to diverting all police calls. But I really like this workflow because you can see that if an incident occurs, you could call 911, but ideally we want to recalibrate our communities to call a community responders direct line. In Santa Clara County, that will be the Trust community centers that will be starting in 2022. So ideally we want our community members to call that line and then have mobile crisis come and respond to them. But this committee, I think we're in a position to make sure that if people call 911 for a mental health crisis, we're in a position to make sure that those calls that are nonviolent can be diverted to other programs that already exist in the county, such as Trust and mobile crisis response team. And so lastly, I've created a survey to better understand the experiences of people who have interacted with the police from their perspective, because all too often we see that when it comes to this dialogue, the data is driven by data from police departments, police records, and things that are similar. And so the hope here is to get a picture of what police encounters look like from our perspective. And so I really encourage you to go and take a look at this survey and see if it's something that you may be able to contribute to, or if you have, a loved one or somebody in your neighborhood who might be able to fill this out, I really encourage you to share this with them, because the goal is to take this data set and to help this committee develop, more appropriate recommendations. So thank you very much for your time. And if we have a little bit of time remaining, I'm not sure, Darcy, we might be able to just have a brief discussion on the questions I had presented earlier. Go back to them.
Yeah, I think we do have some time. I'm sure there might be some reactions from members of the committee to your presentation, particularly maybe the policy recommendations that you suggested. So you've put up the 2 questions here: how to respond to calls for service related to behavioral health crisis and substance use, and who should be sent to respond. So I'll open it up to committee members who, if you'd like to raise your hand, that'd be great. Just so we give everybody the opportunity to present. And the presentation was really well done. Thank you much for presenting with this information. And that survey is great. I'm wondering if we can get that sent out to the group as well. Sparky.
Hi there. That was a great presentation, I want to say, with all the background and stuff and the different models. We've been working on a model with the county. I guess my question would be, how do we coordinate what the county might be doing with San Jose PD if, we're talking cities versus county? Have you thought some about how that might work in the various models?
Yeah, so I think we need, I think that's where this committee can play a role by putting forth a recommendation to City Council that says, whenever, 911 dispatch gets a call for what they think is a mental health related call, and there is a low probability for violence, that call be transferred to the Trust Community Hotline. Or if a police officer ever comes in contact with somebody who might be having a mental health crisis, and there's not violent, that police policy dictate that they call Trust. So I think that's where this committee can put forward those kind of recommendations that help connect parts of the system, because you are right, we're looking at different levels of jurisdiction.
Yeah, just if I could just follow up on that, Darcy, because
Sure, go for it.
what I found out is I sort of assumed there was only one 911 system for the county. And then I was told that they're operated from various cities and the county. So my guess is then we'd be focused on 911 that's operated by the city. Chief, I don't know the chief, I see him sitting there. I think 911 is operated by San Jose PD. Is that correct? Do you know? Yeah.
Yes, it is. The 911 here in San Jose is run by the city. And like you mentioned, if the calls go to a different jurisdiction, then they are transferred to that jurisdiction.
Okay, thanks.
Andrea.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Tarab. That was an excellent presentation. A couple of things that come to mind. One is when the initial call comes in to 911, how are they dispatchers being trained to determine if a crisis is actually a crisis? So, for example, a neighbor sees someone walking down the street and waving their hands. That person may or may not be in a crisis. So really being able to have better training. Maybe that person has autism, maybe that person has a developmental disability. There are a number of reasons why that person might be behaving the way they're behaving. And so I think really figuring out, and it's probably a very complex, I'm not trying to say it's simple, but really defining what is a crisis and when does involvement need to happen, and then who is the right responder. And then secondly, determining if there are co-occurring conditions with a behavioral health crisis, such as intellectual disability, autism, other things that may also play into how that person responds to care, are important things to think about.
Thank you, Senator. They definitely are. And I think as we move in, once we create our subcommittees and the subcommittees start considering these alternatives, that is definitely something that should be brought up and considered as well. Thank you.
Any other questions or thoughts about the presentation or reactions to these two? Where do we go from here? Questions that were posed to us by Rob? Let's see, I can't see if anybody else is. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. And we can move to, I believe the next agenda item was it's going to be a table, to hopefully we can table the agenda item. Our next item was going to be a presentation on the Charter Review Committee. We're being asked to table that to the next meeting. Do we need to vote on tabling that, or can we just, as long as someone objects to tabling it, can we just table it?
I move to table the agenda item of the Charter Review Committee until next meeting.
Perfect, thank you. Is there a second?
I second it.
Great, seconded by Sandra. Any further discussion on that item? Okay, Chris, I don't remember how we were doing the other commission I sit on. We do a roll call vote, but oh, I'm sorry, Reverend Smith.
I was voting yes.
Oh, you're voting yes. Got it. Okay, not discussion. Thank you. Okay, we'll just do. I guess we'll just do. Chris, what was the? Were we doing roll call or just hands up? Or what was the way we were voting?
So I'm like, there's somebody who's really good at Parliament, like Robert's Rules of Order on the call, and that's Reverend Sammy Evans. What I would think is that maybe we could do just by consent, just if there's no objection, we'll table it just because of the process of doing a whole roll call for something that's being tabled.
Okay.
If someone knows differently about the process, please interject.
Seems like that's what Reverend Evans was going to say. Perfect. So are there any objections to tabling this item? Cool. Seems like everyone is in agreement. Great. So the next item is establishing our policy subcommittees. We learned from the city that we need to formally establish our 3 subcommittees and formally vote people onto these subcommittees so that they can meet and start doing the good work that they're going to do. We don't have to start from scratch. We have some ideas already, and some committees have, well, they haven't met, but some folks have already been informally meeting about these issues. Promotion and prevention, police accountability and reform, and alternative safety response. These are the 3 committees that we have spoken about at previous meetings. Chris has been able to find for us the descriptions of these committees. These can certainly be adjusted, but in general, these are the scopes of what we hope the committees will do. You can read here the Promotion and Prevention Committee. This one is looking at exploring models of public safety that focus on creating just social and economic conditions in our city. This committee will discuss investments aimed at eliminating root causes of criminalized harm and violence in our communities. I know that that used to also include the wording police violence, and there's been some requests to add the addition of actually naming what some of these root causes are, as in systems of white supremacy. The next item is alternative safety response, exploring the alternative responses to social conditions and crisis events currently delegated to law enforcement. This committee will explore more effective, equitable, efficient models for addressing scenarios that require community response. And the third, police accountability and reform. This committee will explore SJPD policies and practices which require immediate reform. The committee will explore such topics as public oversight and accountability, disciplinary practices, crowd control techniques, use of force policies, training, and hiring. These are the summaries of the 3 committees that we've talked about previously. And Chris can now go to the roster. Perfect. These are the folks who have self-selected to want to be on these committees. Top here, alternative safety response. Okay, I've heard from Jamal he'd like to be added to the police accountability reform. Jamal, you are listed there on the, so what we're doing is we're going over the folks who have currently self-selected to be on these committees. We can certainly add, change any of these. Is there another page of this? And the promotion prevention committee. So why don't we go ahead and put the last, so first, I guess we'll start with, are there any like major objections or thoughts on the 3 committees themselves? Maybe we can start with establishing the committees. We can entertain discussion or a motion to establish these 3 committees.
This is Sparky. One thing I wanted to just sort of interject is, do we have time set up already for these committees? Because that was one of my issues is do we know the times as we're putting membership? I guess I'm jumping ahead. I'll move the establishment of these committees first. How's that?
Thank you,
Sorry.
Sparky. Is there a second?
I would second the motion. This is
Great, okay. Thank you very much, Jen. So the committees have been moved to be established by Sparky, seconded by Jim. Sandra, do you have discussion on, did you want to discuss something on this item?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the scope as presented, if we approve that as written, or if there's leeway within the committees to further define those. So for example, for the accountability and reform subcommittee, we would like to add oversight to the description of that committee.
So you like to make a friendly amendment?
Well, so I have some, I want to add something to that, Sandra. I think that's a really good point, because I noticed on the promotion and prevention committee, there's also some language missing that I know was present during the initial suggestion for that subcommittee. So I'm wondering if it's possible to approve the committees and place into the scope that they better determine or solidify what that paragraph would be.
I will move that we approve these committees and allow for expansion of scope of work.
I second. This is Sandra. I second.
Okay, I know, Reverend Evans, I know we had that's an amendment to Sparky's initial. Does Jim just have to okay that since he was the second?
Yeah,
Right.
if Jim will do the friendly amendment, we can just keep it to the first motion.
I'll propose the friendly amendment and
Great.
agree to that. Yes.
Fantastic. Sandra, does that cover your questions as well?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, great. So all in favor of that motion?
We're just doing verbal.
Great.
Aye.
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 Maybe, how about use your,
Raise hand.
yeah, maybe use your raised hand. I don't know for like recording purposes, if we need to know everyone who's voting. Okay. Great. Last call to raise your hand if you're voting. Yes, in favor of this motion. Perfect. Everyone can lower their hand, please. Anyone opposed to this motion? Reverend Smith, Lori, and Gabrielle, your hands are still up. Was that a leftover from voting yes? Perfect. Okay. Lori, was that a leftover from voting? Fantastic. Great. Anyone abstaining from voting on this? Great. So our 3 subcommittees have been formed. Subcommittees can convene and come up with the details of expansion or editing of scope. We can now assign, so I think this is up for discussion, Sparky, but I would imagine that the subcommittees could then determine when they meet as a group as part of their scope.
Do they have the times already set? That was just my follow-up.
I believe some committees had scheduled their times, but we heard from the city that they technically shouldn't have been meeting anyway. So I don't know if those have to be predetermined or what the committees might decide on that. But I think if you're interested in a committee, you can join and then, give input on time. Chris, can you pull up the current roster? I know they're not on the same page. Yes.
Darcy, there's a woman by the name of Rosa Cordova. She needs Spanish translation. She's message in the thing that she can't. She's having a hard time getting hearing the
Oh, thank you
translation or
for
something.
thank you for thank you for that. Chris or Poncho, can you help Rosa?
I'm assuming I know
Hola,
that
buenos días. Sí le escucho, solo que se escucha una que otra palabra nada más. No estoy escuchando la reunión completa.
are you go ahead, Lisa.
She said she hears, but like it's breaking, like every other word. She's not hearing everything. Like every other word she hears, and so she's not getting the whole scope of the conversations that are being had right now.
Lo siento, tenemos interpretación y si has imprimido al globito, y yo creo que si hay problemas lo podemos arreglar en la próxima, pero tenemos interpretación si lo necesitas.
Le escucho, sí, exactamente. Le escucho claramente ahorita, pero en la reunión no he escuchado más que una que otra palabra. Muy poco.
So I switched to the Spanish translation as well, and I can see Poncho speaking, but nothing comes out on the other end. I didn't even hear one or two words as la señora was describing. So I don't know if it's a glitch. I don't know. I just want to confirm that when I switched to Spanish language, it was quiet. The moment you turn off the audio, the original audio, there was silence. I didn't even hear one or two words. So I don't know if it's on my end, but I'm just confirming that it wasn't functioning for me either.
Do we have someone on the Zoom who knows how to fix that?
Hi, good morning. I think it may be that the interpreter has bad connection, or I don't know if there's a button when she speaks, but you can hear her as she speaks and then she fades away. So it may be, technology hiccup, but it's very choppy on the Spanish version.
So I don't know, Lisa, if you can, if that's something that we might be able to work on on your end. So we have Lisa's doing the interpretation, today. So we can try to look at that technology next time. Our apologies.
Rosa, es algo que a lo mejor vamos a tener que solucionar para la próxima vez, porque sí se está escuchando, pero a lo mejor la conexión no está llegando bien. So, podemos platicar acerca de eso para la próxima vez.
So after this agenda item, there's also the agenda item of voting people onto the committee, and I believe she's one of them. Should we be doing translation in this way, or I think it's probably really important that we make sure that it's accessible. Are we going to try the interpretation as it is again, or should we try to do it real time in the meeting?
Darcy, if you want to do real time, I can support. I'm not the best interpreter, but I can definitely support.
Gabrielle, did you have your hand up to contribute to this discussion?
Yes.
No.
You're talking to me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I just note, this is a new topic. I just noticed that police accountability and reform has a hell of a lot more people than the other two committees. So is that going to be more difficult to deal with because it's so big? And I actually want to switch from alternative safety response to police accountability. And is that possible?
Yes, it is possible for you to switch. Chris, are you able to edit this this slide
I will,
as we look at it?
yeah, I will note that there is a limit as to how many people who are nominated on this committee who can be in each subcommittee. I think that last week, I think up till this point, we have 28 persons, which means that we can have 13 or less in each subcommittee. And I think at the end of this meeting, we'll have 31, which would mean that we can have 14 or less. And so I just want to make that note. And also I'll just note that oh, sorry. Yeah. And then if we're doing simultaneous translation, probably Rosie should probably interject and
Disculpe.
yeah.
Sí, escuché apenas ahorita, pero estoy escuchando en inglés, se salió usted del audio. Ahora sí se escucha solo español, pero de igual manera no está escuchándose el 100%.
But this is Sparky on the subcommittee. Should we just tell you? I just wrote in
De hecho,
chat.
ya no la escucho.
Oops.
Se corta.
Oh, I think, is Rosa talking to Lisa right now? Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, fantastic. Go ahead, Sparky.
Oh, I was just saying, do you want us to write our preference in the chat box? Like I said I was on the police alternatives subcommittee, or wanted to be on that one.
So what I think I'll do is I'm going to read, I'm going to go subcommittee to subcommittee. I'm going to start with subcommittee 1, this alternative safety process. I'm going to read who's currently on it. And if you need to be off of it and you're on it, like, let us know. Or if you would like to be on this and you're not on it, then we can add your name. And then maybe we can vote on all 3 committees as just the slate of people once we get the right people on each committee. Is that agreeable to everybody? Does anybody just like wildly object to that idea? Cool. Okay. So alternative safety response, we currently have Tarab, Gabriella, Tamara, Gabriel, sorry, and Reverend Evans.
You can take me, Gabrielle and Tolovich off that.
Okay.
And I'll join, and then Sparky will join.
Perfect. Anybody else want to be added to this committee? And I can't see everybody, so if you don't have to raise your hand. If you do, you can just kind of speak out, because I'm also looking at the presentations. I can't see everybody. Okay, police accountability and reform. There are quite a few people on this one. I don't know the exact number of people who are on this one, but we'll have to make sure it doesn't go over the amount that we're allowed. Okay, we have Sandra. I can't see the beginning part of this name. Iwema, Aina, I'm sorry, Kiana, Rosie, Jel. Sorry, I'm trying to read this. Marco, Jamal, Lori. There we go. Myra, Vernon, Jim, Lavere, and Gabrielle. Does anybody want to be taken off of this or be added to it? Maybe one. It's at 13.
Darcy, can you hear me? This is Siobhan Nuri.
Hi, Siobhan.
I'm having a hard time raising my hand. So a couple questions. Will members of the advisory group be able to attend the subcommittee meetings, even if they're not members of the subcommittees?
So you're talking about voting members of this?
Well, I'm particularly, I myself am a non-voting member, but I would be interested in the conversation around police accountability.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only, so I don't know the answer. I don't want to, I think
Yeah.
each committee would probably determine what the public access is, or is there a general rule around public access?
I believe that 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 they can be open to the public. I think that I would recommend that we have them open to the public. And then what we can do is make sure to communicate the times and the Zoom information out to everyone. If Peter is on, he may be able to expand or.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Hamilton, and I'm assistant to the city manager in the San Jose City Manager's office. I think what we had discussed these would be formed as ad hoc committees under the Brown Act, which I think I noted last time, can meet without being public or being noticed, so long as they have a defined scope and they last no longer than 6 months. So I think you have the option, they under the Brown Act, so long as they meet those criteria, you're not required to notice them and have them be public, but it's certainly at your discretion if you would like to do that.
So how about this? How about can we continue the voting on the roster, the formal roster, and then we can take up that issue after we get this vote done? Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so this is the current Promotion and Prevention Committee: Chad, Darcy, Jesse, Philip, Paula, Hector, and Cessa. Anyone want to be added to this committee or taken off of this committee?
I would like to be
Great.
added to this committee.
Perfect. Poncho would like to be added to this committee.
Are there members not here today that we need to check in to get them assigned?
I would suspect that we might. Is it possible to, if people have interest in the future, to be added by adding this to the agenda in the future?
Yes, I think you can add people as you please.
Great. I think because we have kind of communicated about these over a period of time, people have had a chance to select or not select. I feel comfortable moving forward with a vote on these, knowing that if there are people who feel really strongly that they want to be added to this committee, we can always add them in later. Okay, so we have the 3 committees set up. Chris, can you go to the previous slide? Take a look at the alternative safety response folks. Take a look at the police accountability and reform folks. And then once again, if we can look at the prevention and promotion committee roster. Next slide. Great, so I'll entertain a motion on approving this roster of committee members.
I move approval of the roster for the 3 committees.
Second.
Great, seconded by, moved by Sparky, seconded by Poncho. Any discussion, more discussion on this? Okay, if you are in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. Okay, last call for raising your hand. All right, and if everyone can lower their hand. If you're opposed to this, please raise your hand. Hector, are you expressing? There we go. Got it. Okay, anyone abstaining? Everybody here. Great. Okay, our committee rosters are formed. We can, if it's okay with the body, maybe we can. Actually, I forgot who was helping us with this, but since these were assigned, these were just created as committees. So Peter, you're saying right now, do the committees have the option right now of deciding how they would like to be publicly accessible as we voted?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Great. So I'm wondering, just for time's sake and knowing that we did have a really important question that we heard from in the comments and also vocalized that each committee go back and see how they are going to be publicly accessible to folks. We know that committees will be also determining any additions or edits to scope. So the committees can report back when they report back in the next meeting on all of that, and can probably let people know about what the committees determine. Any other comments on the roster or committee?
Darcy, this is Sparky again. If people already have the next committee set up, can they put it in the chat so we know that there's a next meeting?
Sure. If there are committee folks here, I guess technically the committees don't exist prior to today. So I think that was kind of like the tricky piece, right?
I know.
So I don't know that I mean, if there was a committee that met and determined something prior to this roster and committees being formed, we may want to go through that process one more time. I don't know, Peter, if you have another way in, but it was my understanding that this is the formation of the committees and the scope.
Yeah, that's correct. It's important that the full body establish the committee under our rules. So yes, you're correct, Darcy.
So that does bring up the question, and I know we want to try and get everybody here by 9:30. We have another really important vote, but convening these committees. So then someone needs to convene these committees and get that scheduled. Are people just supposed to connect with each other? And so I'm just hoping that folks who were helping to lead the charge on that prior to this will continue to do that, and committees will meet. Great. Okay, next agenda item. Steering committee reports and actions. So we received a report out from the steering committee. I am on the steering committee. I know other folks are on the steering committee too, so I would welcome any additions or anyone who'd like to jump in on this committee report. The steering committee met and came up with, for example, today's agenda as charged by the full committee. We determined that our meeting times will be 4 p.m. on Friday after each RIPS meeting. So that's when we will be determining the next agenda and going over any agenda items proposed by the bigger committee. We did take a vote in our last steering committee to recommend yes on this next appointment. We are asking that the broader committee appoint 3 new steering committee members that are coming from specific neighborhoods within our community. And you can see their names listed here. I believe there were also, there may have been some additional information sent out about these committee members, new committee members. The steering committee looked over some information about them, discussed it, and came up with a yes recommendation that we're bringing to you. So at this time, and if anyone wants to give any more background on this matter, I don't know all the background on it, but was present when we voted to recommend yes on these 3 neighborhood representatives that you see here on the slide. So we could have discussion, we could have entertain a motion to approve these 3 new committee members to our broader committee. Again, these are this is going back to the city council's request that we also include neighborhood leaders from very specific impacted neighborhoods within the city. These are the 3 leaders who were presented to us, and our recommendations as steering committee is that we vote yes. And we also can hear from these committee members as well if they're here and would like to say anything.
This is Sandra. I move that we approve adding the 3 neighborhood representatives to the general committee.
Second.
Great. Moved by Sandra, seconded by Reverend Sunny Evans. Any further discussion on the addition of these neighborhood representatives to our committee? Any questions for the steering committee that's bringing forward a yes recommendation? Great. Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. last call for raising your hand. Great. Okay, you can lower your hand. Anyone opposed? Or anyone abstaining? Great. Welcome to our 3 new committee members. If they're here, would you like to say anything to the committee? You don't have to, but if you'd like to, the floor is open to you. Okay, we look forward to hearing from you at future meetings. Welcome to our committee, or to the committee. Oh, Maria, yes.
Buenos días a todos y gracias por la oportunidad. Amo mi comunidad y pienso que siempre mi pensamiento ha sido seguridad por todos, pero somos una sola familia. Y si nos mantenemos unidos, entre todos mantendremos a toda nuestra ciudad de San José y todas nuestras comunidades unidas. Gracias por esta oportunidad. Les agradezco con el corazón en nombre de mi comunidad.
Does anyone else like to speak? We welcome you. Excited to have you join. Yes, Sparky.
In the future, can we have translations when a member speaks? Sort of the English translation, I'd like to know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, what Maria said.
yeah, I think that is important for folks who don't would need interpretation for that.
Yeah. Just a point of information. I think that since we know that we'll be bilingual in these meetings, you'll want to select. You have to physically select interpretation in English. If you're left in like the default audio mode, then you won't hear the interpretation. But if you select English as your interpretation, that will get you access to that.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So at the beginning of each meeting, make sure you're selecting English so that you can hear the interpretation from Spanish to English.
Bueno, yo soy Rita, perdón por tomarme el tiempo. Quisiera agradecerles la oportunidad de estar con ustedes el día de hoy y en las próximas reuniones y aprender de ustedes, ¿verdad? Y también, como dijo la señora María, estamos aquí por el bien de la comunidad y esperemos que todo sea favorablemente para todos, o sea, para todas las comunidades, no nomás el este de San José, que es la comunidad donde yo vivo. Entonces, gracias a todos y gracias por la oportunidad de participar.
Great, thank you, Rita. So I was able to hear the English translation. Thank you, Chris, for that. It did fade in and out a little bit. For the most part, I was able to hear it. Great. Rosa, would you also like to say anything? I don't mean to put you on spot. You totally don't have to either. Okay.
No, sí, claro. Buenos días a todos. Gracias por la oportunidad de estar acá. Desafortunadamente el audio no lo pude escuchar completo, pero aquí estaremos en las próximas reuniones, si Dios permite, y gracias de nuevo por la oportunidad.
Perfect. All right, next agenda item. We have one final agenda item, I think, before public comment. Receive information in response to committee member questions from September 29th Advisory Committee meeting.
Yeah, hi, this is Peter from the City Manager's Office. This one, we were drafting the memo to explain the history on the appointments, and we had heard some questions from the committee at the last meeting, so we thought we would take that opportunity to provide you with some written responses to some of the questions that we heard. And I think we're on some of these we've offered to meet with the steering committee now that they've formed to discuss the path forward. So it's we're happy to continue to provide information. If there are questions that we can help with, just let us know.
Sorry, I'm having some difficulty with my Microsoft Word. Here are the questions specifically in and some responses. And you can read all this there. You'll find them in the email as well. Would it be helpful if I took the time to read the questions and the responses, or are people okay with checking their emails? Or
Email would be good.
okay.
Does anybody like need to have it read today? It'd be okay if you did. Checking to make sure. Okay. Yep. Seems like we're good with getting those responses in email. I don't have the more formal agenda in front of me. I'm looking at the PowerPoint, but is this a public comment time? Great. Okay. Is there any comments from the public we should hear? Is there a time limit for public comment, individual public comment? Was there one listed on the agenda?
I think you as the chair can set it.
Great. We are nearing the end, so I would say, can we do a minute of public comment per speaker? I'll kind of loosely track that, I guess. Mr. Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks for the meeting. From the last meeting, I really forgot to say, I wish I did, that with all your subcommittee work that you're just establishing, good luck in how to consider the future of a surveillance and technology and data collection oversight board, along with the community police review board and I guess disability review and homeless review. Those seem to be the big oversight boards we're considering at this time. And I just wanted to put into my 2 cents in the efforts to be considering technology oversight. Good luck with that. And with the city charter process, good luck how we can better talk about Ohlone issues for this area in terms of equity, in terms of I'm not quite familiar with the terminology, but land trust issues they're working on in some way. I think to learn how to talk about those issues in terms of equity and overall Ohlone issues, I think we can develop a really overall some interesting work here. I'm sure you already do, but just to remind yourselves of what can be done with that. Thanks, and thanks a lot for the meeting.
Thank you. Other public comment? You can raise your hand. Okay, I see no other public comment. Great, I think with that, I don't know if you need a motion to adjourn. Can we just adjourn? Can I just adjourn? Yes. Cool, we're adjourned.
I have one. Blair Beekman here. Can I make one more quick point? About the subcommittee process I put in the chat. There are ways, I just talked with someone from Berkeley, there are ways to make the subcommittee process more accessible to the public if needed. Look at Berkeley, they have awesome good examples, and it doesn't have to be deaf here as it is in San Jose. We can work to open it up a bit if we can. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Beekman. Okay, with that, we're adjourned, 9:31. Thank you, everybody.